Oh, hell, let's just do what we always do. Hijack some nuclear weapons and hold the world hostage.
I'm curious about the CIA because most people think it exists to protect national security, and that gets said a lot. But I wanted to know who's security exactly and whose nation. During World War II, the US built its first spy agency, the OSS, not with soldiers, with Wall Street lawyers. And they built it around one idea, that what's good for American businesses is good for America. And when the war ended, Congress shut it down. 2 years later, the same guy started the CIA. Same people, same mindset, new name, secret budget. And this time, almost nobody watching them. After the war, Truman said, don't bring over Nazis who were criminals. And the CIA brought over 1,600 of them anyway. Scrubbed their records, gave them new identities and American careers. They called it Operation Paperclip, the most famous being Werner von Braun, who ran the Nazi rocket program, using concentration camp prisoners as slave labor. And then became the father of NASA and got a crater on the moon named after him, which does seem like a successful rebranding. The CIA from 1953 to 1961. His brother was running the State Department at the same time, and both of them had personal and financial ties to the United Fruit Company. So when Guatemala's elected president tried to give farmland back to his people, and that United Fruit claimed the CIA did a coup, 200,000 Guatemalans died in the civil war that followed, and United Fruit kept its land because apparently that's what we were calling national security. When McCarthy tried to look into the CIA, Dulles broke into his Senate office, fed him fake intelligence, and ran the story through Operation Mockingbird, a network of journalists on the CIA payroll at 25 American newspapers and wire agencies. And when the press still got too close, they just wiretapped the journalists directly 24 hours a day and kept a list of every senator, every White House aide, every Pentagon source who was still talking. That same playbook ran in Iran, Chile, Nicaragua, the Congo, and Afghanistan. Elected leaders removed friendly dictators, installed rebel armies secretly funded. And when Congress specifically voted to cut off contrafunding in Nicaragua, the CIA sold weapons to Iran through Israel, took the money, funded them anyway, and flew drugs back on the same planes, which is efficient, I guess. From the very beginning, the CIA had a secret arrangement with Israeli intelligence, run for 20 years by one man, James Angleton, who was all supposed to be the person protecting the US from foreign spies. And when he died, the heads of Mossad and Shin Bet gathered in secret in Jerusalem to lay a memorial stone that reads in memory of a dear friend. When any of this got looked into, the same people kept coming up. The CIA planned the Bay of Pigs invasion of Cuba, told Kennedy it would work, it didn't, and Kennedy fired Dulles for it. Then told the people around him he wanted to splinter the CIA into 1,000 pieces and scatter it to the winds. He was assassinated the following year. Lyndon Johnson appointed the man Kennedy fired to lead the official investigation into Kennedy's assassination. George H.W. Bush ran the CIA, then helped run Iran-Contra as vice president. Then as president, let everyone off the hook. His attorney general, William Barr, told him to pardon them all. The same Barr used to work at the CIA, whose father, Donald Barr, served in the OSS, hired a college dropout named Jeffrey Epstein to teach at an elite school without a degree, and wrote a science fiction novel about elites keeping humans as sex slaves. And William Barr came back as attorney general the year Jeffrey Epstein died in a federal jail with the cameras broken and the guards asleep. So just to recap, Wall Street lawyers built a spy agency and called it National Security. 1,600 Nazis got new American careers and called it science. The CIA ran a media network to control what Americans believed and called it journalism. They did coups on 4 continents for corporate interests and called it democracy. They ran weapons and drugs when Congress said no and called it off the books. And the same families have been running and covering for it for 70 years and calling it public service. And now the Epstein files are out and half of them are still missing or heavily redacted, and they're calling it compliance. Oversight is being dismantled and they're calling it efficiency. And the people asking questions are being called the threat. I'm just curious how many of the things we were taught to believe were written by the same agency we've been funding our entire lives without being allowed to know what it does. Know what it does. Know what it does.